Hi, fourth grade. It's Miss Padilla. Sorry I'm a little late on posting this for I Lived on Butterfly Hill, pages 258 to 268. We're going to start with the chapter 8th grade on 258. Since reading my poem to my friends, I now imagine one day seeing my poetry in a bookshop in Valparaiso. Tia Graziella says that dreams only come true with effort, so I decide to write every day for the rest of the summer. Every evening I walk through the woods to a circle of trees with a perfect sitting stone in its center, and there I write in my notebook. Even if you just write one word, Celeste, Tia Graziella encourages me, you come that much closer to filling a page. Sometimes I think of only small things like, there is something delicious about summer evenings in Maine, cool and sweet like a dish of strawberries. When I see the fireflies with their bright little lanterns floating around my face, I know it is time to go home. I can see the house lights shining through the trees. Tia Graziella turns them on so I can find the house, like a ship finding the harbor. Tonight, I stay out a bit longer and imagine the flowers starting to peek from the ground on Butterfly Hill. I hope they are not afraid to bloom. Even though the general still rules Chile, even a dictator can't stop the springtime. But here in the other half of the world, the days are getting shorter and the nights longer and cooler. Autumn is coming, and tomorrow is the first day of school. The 8th grade teacher, Mr. Gary, is a tall man with light blue eyes, salt and pepper hair, and a picture of his daughters on his desk. He seems like a kind and gentle man. He says that my English is so much better that I don't need extra help. You will learn even more quickly when you have no choice, he says, smiling at me. He speaks so much faster than Miss Rose. I look back at him nervously. Trial by fire, he smiles again, encouragingly. Extra credit if you figure out what that means by the end of the week. Oh gosh, is this extra credit or extra homework? How will I ever keep up in class? I like Mr. Gary, but I try to visit Miss Rose's class whenever I can. When I show her some of the poems I've written in English, she hugs me. Celeste, I am so proud of you. Then she pulls a piece of lined paper from her desk and hands it to me. I found this in Kim's old desk while I was cleaning my classroom this summer. There is just one sentence on the paper, written in Kim's careful penmanship. Celeste is my forever friend. I read those words and it's like having her next to me for a moment. I see Kim's hands making paper birds, her eyes with the look of yearning for home. Miss Rose, I say, I promise that I will study hard to improve my English and make this year my best year ever on Juliet Cove. I will do it for Kim because she always tried so hard and now she can't be here herself. And someday I will become a writer and she will read my stories wherever she is. So fourth grade, that chapter started on 257. I was wrong on the pages. We're now on page 260, Scraps of Life. The day after Halloween, there is no school. I sit with Tia Graziella at the kitchen table, but I don't have much of an appetite for breakfast after eating so many caramel-filled chocolates the night before. Meg and Charlie invited me to go trick-or-treating for the first time. I tried to say no at first. I was feeling blue, but Charlie insisted. When I finally agreed, he said, "Gracias," in Spanish. So I dressed like a snowflake, something I know will be falling from the sky soon. I wore all white clothes and glued cotton balls over every inch of me. I even had a white cap covered with cotton balls on my head. And Tia Graziella sprinkled me with silver glitter and gave me a little pumpkin to carry to keep any mean spirits away. Did you have fun last night, Querida? Tia Graziella asked me. I pushed the round toasted oats, a cereal I have finally come to like, back and forth in my bowl and watched them slowly expand like sea sponges in the milk. I did have fun, but today I feel tired and down. Maybe it's because all morning Tia Graziella has been telling me news of Chile she received from her friends living in other countries, like Spain, where it's easier to get news from South America. She is always taking the same letters out and rereading them. Sometimes it makes me frustrated to hear words like censorship and hunger and disappeared over and over again. I pick up a piece of yellow paper folded in threes near the bottom of the pile and scan a few lines. I read aloud. My brother asked the government permission to throw a party for his son's 7th birthday and was denied. I remember how Abuela Frida forbade me to walk in the park with large groups of friends. No more than 3 of you, or they'll call it subversive. They could arrest you. Even in memories, the fear of my grandmother's voice still sends chills up my spine. Subversive? I remember Gloria saying it as well. It sounds sinister, all twisted like a serpent. Serpent is like a snake. I don't ever want to write it down. I hear myself let out a long sigh. My chest feels tight. But listen, Tia Graciella's voice brightens. There might be a change soon. My friend says that exiled Chileans, as well as French people, have been standing outside the gates in Spain every day for a whole 2 weeks. She reads on, and I watch as hope lights up her face. Remember, hope isn't literally lighting up her face, but she has hope inside of her that lights her up. They hold signs with the general's face crossed out with a big red X, and other signs that say, "Donde están? Where are they? Donde están? Donde están? Where are they?" I cry out, unable to hold any longer the question I carry with me every day. Where are Mama and Papa? Where are Lucilla and Anna? Where is Principal Castellanos? I fold my arms over my chest and stare at Tia Graciela. And how many more have disappeared or had to leave like I did? I demand. Suddenly, I hear myself shouting. I don't want to think about dark jails and the people I love in them. I can hardly breathe, and my hands have scattered all the letters to the floor. My aunt reaches to hug me, but I pull away. Celeste, cuerda mía, she says soothingly. There are many people who don't want to recognize what is happening to our country because they don't want to be reminded of pain. They are afraid of pain, but you are not one of those people, Celeste. I sniffle and look at my aunt with some disbelief. No, Celeste, if you never knew pain, how could you recognize joy? Then it all tumbles out of me at once. I want to hear the sounds of Butterfly Hill, the sirens of the boats coming and going from the harbor, the creaking of the swings, Senora Atkinson's piano. I gasp for air. Tears run hot down my cheeks. But I wouldn't care if I never hear anything again if I could only hear Mama and Papa's voices. Oh, Celeste. Tia Graciela pulls me into her arms, and this time I let her. How do they get food? Are they cold at night? For some strange reason, I remember it is getting warmer and warmer there, as it gets colder and colder here. But then the thought just reminds me of how far away I am from my parents. Not just miles, but days, so many days between us. I make a decision. Tia Graciela, see, will you take the calendar off the wall in my bedroom when I am at school tomorrow and throw it away? Are you sure, Celeste? I nod. I finally understand why Abuela Frida doesn't like calendars. I've been using the calendar on my wall to count the days since I left Chile. 647. Since day 10, Tia Graciela has told me I am being stubborn and hanging on to the sadness. I want to measure time according to the seasons, like Abuela does, I tell my aunt, who is wiping her own eyes and looking so relieved. Seasons are so much longer, only for a year. Mama taught me in Esmeralda that each season is an instrument, Tia Graciela tells me, and motions for me to sit down. She would tell us how she always knew it was spring when the piano keys rang like little bells as her old music teacher, Mr. Legiski, played Liszt's La Campanella. Then autumn on Juliet Cove as a burnished viola bursting with the sounds of yellow, orange, and red. I say, suddenly I feel relieved too. For now, it is enough to imagine. No more counting, Celeste, I tell myself. Be like the seasons and just keep going. Page 265. The mailman, Mr. John Carter. Tia Graciela powders her face with the fine rice powder Abuela Frida gave her. Then she puts on red lipstick and turns her head to the front window like a swan. She does this every day around noon because that's when the mailman comes by. At first they only exchanged a courteous hello, but as months turned into years, Tia Graciela and the mailman, John Carter, became friends. I like how Mr. Carter is always ready to smile, and how his big laugh sounds so genuine. He is nice to chat with, Tia Graciela tells me. Before you came, he was the only person I had to talk to besides my clients. I mean friends, she corrects herself. And they only want to hear about themselves, she continues, and I laugh. And just then we hear Mr. Carter's familiar tap, 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 tap upon the door. Mail's here. Letters from abroad, Miss Graciela, and a package. My aunt receives letters from all over the world, from places as far away as Russia, because so many of her friends are exiles. Tell me, Graciela, how do you have time to answer all the letters you receive, he asks. They are from so many places. I find time every day. It's my only way of talking to my friends. So many of them are living in other countries now. Spain, England, Germany, Mexico, Russia. I have a friend in Alabama and others in California, Texas, Chicago. Tia Graciela's voice trails off. If Celeste and I didn't have our letters, we would feel so alone. And of course, we always look forward to seeing your smile and hearing you say, mail's here. I hand a plate of chocolate chip cookies to Mr. Carter. I made them myself. Look, Tia Graziella whispers and points at something behind Mr. Carter's left shoulder. Oh, my breath catches in my throat. A slender brown deer stands in our front yard. She seems to be looking right at us. Then she moves her head up and down 4, no, maybe 5 times. It's as if she's nodding yes, I whisper. Mr. Carter tips his hat to both of us and returns to his mail truck. The deer scampers into the woods, and we watch until Mr. Carter, too, has faded into the whiteness of winter on Juliet Cove. Page 267, An Entire Sky Inside. Interesting title. I wake up in the middle of the night to the smell of salt, water, cilantro, and cinnamon. What a strange dream! I rub my eyes. In my sleep, I stood aboard a small wooden sailboat with billowing sails whiter than the moon. I was skippering the boat, following a large flock of pelicans flying low over the water. Suddenly, my friend the old pelican turned back to look at me and started heading south as if leading me home. Boom! A gust of wind slams the shutters back and forth. A storm must be coming. I glance toward the window. The branches of the trees are waving so fast, it's just as if they're trying to get someone's attention. Just then, Tia Graziella opens the door to my bedroom. Her face is flush, a look I've never seen before. I hear a branch fall to the ground as my aunt sits beside me and takes my hand. Uh-oh. She takes a deep breath. I do too, waiting to hear what has her acting so oddly. It can't be the storm. I received a call from a friend in Spain very late last night. Her voice trembles in disbelief. The general is dead, Celeste. We are going home. I stare at her. Dead? Dead? We're going home? I echo. We're going home, Tia assures me, her voice crackling. Shaking with surprise, disbelief, and joy, I hardly know what to do with myself. I walk downstairs, put my winter jacket and boots on over my pajamas, and wander into the front yard. The night is still and cold as if the storm never happened. How strange. I just heard that smash of wind, that branch falling. I look up at the stars and see my breath rise like great smoke to meet them. They twinkle like little lighthouse. The Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, Orion, the Hunter. I whisper those names as I find the shapes that Tia Graziella showed me during my first week on Juliet Cove. How funny, I think, to realize only now that I love the stars of the Northern Hemisphere almost as much as the constellations of the South. Shivering with cold, I turn back to go to the house. Suddenly, a bright light from above shines in my eyes. An orb I have never seen before, so big and bright it must be a planet. Radiates a soft green light, shining brighter and brighter until it makes me think of an emerald. Esmeralda. Isn't Esmeralda her mom? So it's so interesting that she's getting these signs. I will post again tomorrow. I noticed that we're turning to part 3, only returns. So it must mean that she goes home. 4th grade, please keep